Last week, the 3-Wide Racing League began their Super Late Model Tour in Bristol, Tennessee at the Bristol Motor Speedway. It was a 150-lap event filled with attrition, cautions, and carnage. But today, we head to Watkins Glen, New York, and the beautiful Watkins Glen International, a 2.45-mile super speedway of road courses, Finian. And again, I'm joined by Finian Dacuna. My name is Kyle Heyer here for Sin TV, and we've got 17 super late models, which are traditionally only in oval car, going left and right. Today, it's going to be a little bit different than normal.
Yeah, indeed. It is a weird combination, having these cars. They're never designed to run a road course, but with some setup tinkering done by the admins at 3-Way, they put out a setup that's able to have these guys run a road course, and interested in seeing how this race is going to go. Relatively small field, but I think with the amount of guys we have in it, I think it's definitely going to be an action-packed race, and practice just now finishing up, getting ready to start qualifying.
Again, these cars have actually been tuned very, very nicely. Their best lap time in practice was a 1:10.9, which is pretty much on par with the Cup cars here when they show up. So the pace here is no slower than we'd see with the top-level oval racing machines from around the country. Let's take a look at what this car is, Finian. For those that aren't familiar with this platform, this is a super late model, and these things are very, very lightweight oval racing machines with a whole lot of horsepower and again, kind of a lot of downforce for an oval car.
Yeah, and seeing right there, 2,800 pounds wheelbase, 120 inches, and also we're talking about just very wide in general, especially in comparison to the Cup car. And then looking at here, also the power, over 550 horsepower, with a power by a 3.58 cubic inch V8.
358 cubic.
300,
yeah. 3.58, that's like a 124 scale model, but down back on the racetrack here, qualifying, just getting rolling. Wouldn't make 550 horsepower, might make 550 mouse power, but down onto the racetrack here. Qualifying underway, and we'll take a look at some of the drivers that are in the field tonight. Ron Hagelin in the number 11 Coca-Cola machine, he rolls out onto the course. And Watkins Glen, let's take a look at the track map for today's race here, Finny, because this course is a fast one. They call it the Super Speedway of road courses, and it's not because it's slow. Let's have a look at the track.
Yeah, indeed. Really, I would say probably the slowest point of the track is probably going to be going down into turn 1, the 90, one of your favorite corners on the track.
The best corner in motorsports. No bias at all.
But yeah, going down into turn 1, even though it's slow, you have to make sure you still carry a decent amount of speed, because after that, you're pretty much going to be on full throttle through the S's, through turns 2, 3, and 4, and then heading down to, I guess, actually, while it's taking turn 1 is probably Kyle's favorite corner, his favorite complex on the track,
yes,
bus stop.
And that is the complex that I would traditionally call turns 5, 6, 7, and 8, but no longer counted as part of the corners here, so that is called the inner loop, the bus stop, the chicane, whatever you want to call it. It leads into a very sharply downhill banked left, or right-hander rather, called turn number 5. That is the carousel. Then it's a straight run up to turn 6, the only fast left-hander on the track other than turn 3 in the S's, and you finish off the lap with a right-hander, turn number 7, to put you back on the front straightaway. That right now is where Ron Hagelin is. Let's actually run on board the nose of his car and take a little lap around here at speed.
Across the line, the 11 will go, and he will now start his qualifying run.
And out into turn one, and one of the big topics of discussion tonight, Finn, are going to be the brake temperatures in this car. Here's a look from up underneath one of these super late model platforms. And again, these cars are built for oval racing. They have a pretty sizable brake package on them, but they're not meant to be leaned on for quite this long. They're meant to be leaned on in multiple stints of very short duration. You're leaning on these cars, bring them from about 160 down to 80 for some of these corners, and watch the brakes glow as he hits the brakes.
Molten hot for these cars that head through the bus stop.
And over the curbs, which is how you're going to keep your speed up through here. You're going to hammer those on the inside and outside, and now through the carousels where Hagelin is. But at the top of the board, it's Matt Gruenberg, Finian. He's been unstoppable in pretty much every kind of car, and as he was last week at Bristol. So I think he's certainly the favorite, 2/10 up. No, he's actually going to get bumped down by James Miller in the 09. What a lap by that driver, a 111.1.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad we're going to see some competition. Not going to see Gruenberg run away with this like we usually do.
I hesitate to call this a home track for Miller and also the 06 of Jeffrey Fisher, but Canada is not too far away from Watkins.
I was going to say, I think that's probably the closest he's going to get, at least for this schedule. So, you know, decently close to Canada.
Into the bus stop. And kind of a dreary afternoon here at Watkins Glen. Here's a look at your weather information for today's race. Mostly cloudy skies, cool temperatures. It means lots of grip.
Yeah, I was going to say, most people consider this a miserable day. For the drivers on the track, this is a fantastic day. The track's so cool as it is, it's going to mean it has a lot of grip for these drivers. And again, considering this is a high downforce track, you're going to need all the grip you can as you're trying to carry a lot of speed through these corners. So this is great for the drivers, and they're going to enjoy ripping around here.
Yeah, for those that are kind of familiar with traditional setup theory, you're thinking, well, maybe I run a lot of low downforce sets here at Watkins Glen. Well, that's the challenge of this place, Vinny. There's a lot of straights, but all the corners are very, very fast. So finding a balance between low downforce and high downforce in a GT car is a problem. Tonight, your downforce is pretty much set and static. You can only, well, you can't change anything. It's a fixed setup series. The only thing you can change tonight is your driving. James Miller is on pole right now. His teammate Jeffrey Fisher back in 8th place. A couple other drivers on track. How about Nathan Velez in the 48 car going around turn number 7? Come back to the line. We'll see what he can run here on his, looks like this will be his first lap, and it'll be a 112.1. That'll be good enough for about 8th spot. Yes, P8 for the 48.
15 seconds left in qualifying. Only cars on the track is James Miller and Jordan McKeeboy.
And finishing up, Miller's off throttle now. Ron Hagelin heading up through the S's, but won't get a chance to finish this lap. So in just a moment, we're going to turn him loose for 45 minutes. It's a timed event here tonight, Finian. So that means that it's a little bit different structure. It's not really a set number of laps. It's all about the amount of time that we have in this race. So we'll head down to the racetrack here in just a moment to bring you the starting grid for tonight's event. We'll have a pace lap and before we turn him loose, but down on the front row this evening, let's have a look here, Finney. It's going to be James Miller rolling off first from Canada, and his number 09, Matt Gruenberg, will start on the outside of that first row.
Yeah, moving on back to row number 2, we find Mac Hackthorne going to be lining up in 3rd in the 84. And next to him, Sam Close in the 5 and 4th.
In 5th place will be Justin Krzyzewski in the number 97. He's from the Midwest, and from the Mid-South is Jordan McKeeboy, and his number 21 rolls off on the outside of row number 3.
Drew Eisenman's going to be lining up in 7th in the 77, next to Nathan Velez in 8th in the 48.
In 9th place will be Kevin Finn in the number 14. Ran podium last week at Bristol. See if he can improve. Actually, he's in 10th place alongside Jeffrey Fisher.
Moving on back to row 6, we find Carlos Acosta going to be lining up in the 2 and 11, next to Race Clark in the 22 in 12.
In 13th place, we saw him qualify earlier, the number 11, Ron Hagelin. Corey Lindsay, the 00 from Pennsylvania, is on the outside of row number 7.
Back in 15, find Brent Miller in the 89 from the Midwest. Next to him, he's going to be lining up next to Jess Story in 16th in the 7 car.
Last driver in the field will be Richard Hines from Mid-South, and his number 87. He's going to bookend the grid. And in just a moment, we're going to turn him loose for a pace lap and get your tires warmed up. Vinny, is this car the new tire model? I feel like it is, but I don't want to say that it's not.
I don't think so. And it's going to be even harder to figure out which cars are on the new one because they stopped naming that.
Yeah, I don't understand that still. But so super late models typically designed for only left turns, and you take a look at these cars, Vinny, how they're not even. They're very askew.
It very much is like, if for those of you who are not familiar with these cars, it's very familiar with the Gen 4 car, what they used but pre-2007 in NASCAR, where it was called a Twisted Sister because it was asymmetrical on either side on both the front and the back end. It looked really weird when you looked at it straight on.
Especially with the rear quarter panel, you can actually see The rear quarter panel on the right side is built like a sail. On the left, it actually tucks in a little bit tighter on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I think these cars are a little bit less dramatic than the Gen 4 cars, but still a little bit skewed because obviously they're typically designed to go only turning left, as the joke is said. But well, again, on the road cars, it's going to be slightly weird handling.
It's not always a joke. It's actually the truth most of the time. I don't think we've ever seen super late models on a road course ever on Sim TV, so this will be a first tonight as they head up through the S's. And they're going to climb the 110-foot elevation, and this is such a narrow part of the racetrack and where we typically see a lot of accidents in stock car machines with all that power.
Yeah, I think we'll probably avoid that just due to the low amount of cars we have here, and I think imagine everyone's going to try to at least make it past this part of the before, you know, causing a pileup. We'll have to see here. I think really the first trouble spot we're going to see is down to the bus stop, you know, when everyone's getting on the gas, getting ready to go here. Someone's going to try to send up the inside. Imagine we might see a car go around. It really just depends on how patient these guys want to be. Again, it's not a relatively short race, but also at the same time, it's not a relatively long race either.
45 minutes be a little bit shorter than last week's race at Bristol. Through the inner loop again. This is a great passing opportunity. It's a good trouble spot as well if you make a mistake. So yourself out of problems there. Through the inner loop now into the carousel. This corner exits and you actually see it dips, and it actually is one of the lower points of this end of the racetrack, and you're actually going to climb a hill on corner exit, and don't drop a wheel off there. We've seen some nasty accidents at the exit of turn 5 in the past, so keep your stuff, all your tires and the black stuff, to make sure you don't have any issues this evening.
See, they even put more asphalt past the white line just because they know drivers like to go out there, and even now in the modern version of it, they just pave the whole thing.
Literally, they paved all the way up to where the long course rejoins short course. Actually, if you look from high above, you might be able to see at the bottom right is the heel of what's called the boot, the extra mile of racing surface that is not typically used with stock car machines. We did see that with ORL a couple months ago. All right, time to go racing. It's going to be about 38 laps of racing here, and it's going to be Matt Gruenberg on the front row with the 09 of James Miller from Canada. The Yinzer Graphics Super Late Model Tour for the 3-Wide Racing League brings us to a road course for the first time this season. Green flag flies and we're racing at Watkins Glen. And tiptoeing through the first corner, no problem so far. Everyone using that runoff area. That's fair game to use out there. That's not an off track. You're allowed to use that to gain a position if you need to as well. There's Krasinski way outside, and Jordan McEvoy taking advantage of the spot. He'll jump up into 5th.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. You gotta be careful on the first lap, and here they approach the bus stop. Still guys side by side here. Someone's you have to give, again, these cars are really wide, so it's gonna be hard to get two guys going in at the same time.
There's Jeffrey Fisher in the 06, Drew Eisenman in the 77, Kevin Finn's back there in the 14 as they'll stream through the inner loop. No problem so far, and James Miller is free and clear right now as they exit the carousel for the first time.
Yeah, this is where I think this battle for the race is going to end up being the 09 and James Miller and the 54 Matt Gruenberg. I think they're going to be going at it the entirety of this race.
Krasinski didn't get to a very good start. There's Fisher closing into it from behind, and also Drew Eisenman in the number 77. We're right on board with them as they exit turn 6 and head for turn 7.
Trying to get a run on Jeffrey Fisher up ahead.
I gotta say, these cars look like a lot of fun. I took about a half a lap, even with an oval setup. It seemed pretty enjoyable as well. So this might be a pretty fun experience for these drivers to do something a little bit different today, even if they're not big fans of the road courses. And Krasinski right back to the tailpipes of the 21.
Yeah, sizing up to potentially make a pass here really depends on how good of a run you can get through the S's. A little bit of a left on entry.
And back to the left. You'd think that'd be the easier corner to make, but he's in the fence. And at the top of the hill at over 140 miles an hour, he got in the wall. Here comes Fisher to take advantage of it.
Yeah, he saw that Krasinski made a mistake and is going to be able to just get on by before the bus stop to make that pass.
And stringing their way through the inner loop. The McEvoy is actually going to fall into the hands of Drew Eisenman here shortly as well as Eisenman goes around the long way.
I'm curious how much that car is hurting. Way he caught that damage. It looks like he slowed down quite a bit.
Kind of a glancing blow, so I don't know if it hurt him too bad, but it broke the momentum there, and that's what is most important. But that is kind of a lot of damage he's got.
We'll have to see how long he's able to continue on without
having to need another cigarette, or
apparently.
Kevin Finn, Carlos Acosta, this is for 10th spot. Finn started the race in 10th, so he's gone nowhere but gone nowhere.
And also, just look at Acosta's car. That Charger looks amazing. Especially the tail end.
Very reminiscent of the Pinty's series challengers that are run in Canada. He drives off into turn 1 behind the 14 to Finn. Gonna have a look up the inside, not close enough to make a pass.
Yeah, maybe try to scare him out a little bit, but that hurt his exit. You can see that you really have to prioritize the exit of turn 1, and it's gonna matter heading through the S's here.
And Race Clark tucked in behind in the Tesla number 22. It's certainly not a Tesla under the hood, though. 550 horsepower of pure American power is underneath that hood. There's the right front brakes of the 22 car already glowing red hot as they jump the curbs through the inner loop. There's, oh, the taillights on that 2 car look amazing. Up the road, Jordan McEvoy has Jeffrey Fisher starting to hunt him down, and I was a little surprised we didn't see Fisher closer to the front in qualifying. Didn't really get the lap that he wanted, and he'll have to climb up the old-fashioned way. He started the race in 9th, he's up 3 spots, make it 4 as he goes to the inside. That's a hard place to make a pass, too.
Yeah, well, it helped that he's going to make a pass to his teammate, and McEvoy gave him the spot. The 06 can set his sights on Hackathorn up the road.
Good battle here. McEvoy, Krasinski, and Drew Eisenman all together as they run down the front straightaway. And look at the brakes still glowing even on the straight. And they're going to get right back and heat them back in the corners again. So again, not used to having to use that much brake in these cars. That's certainly going to heat up the tires to make these things pretty miserable to drive. Wow, there goes Carlos Acosta off course in turn 1.
Yeah, some tire marks.
Oh! The 22! And hard into the wall they go at the bottom of the hill.
Big crash at the entry of the S's. See some guys having to slow down because the 22's in the middle of the track.
Oh, Race Clark got kind of victimized there. That was a frustrating end to his night. There's a look from up above. So he's a little bit wide. But so is Carlos Acosta, and Acosta's going to turn in there.
Yeah, I was surprised that actually he was able to hook the 22 around.
I wonder if there was something that led into this. Was there contact maybe between these two?
I don't think so.
Oh, yes, there was. And now that you see that, you go back a little bit farther, it makes more sense.
Yeah. He's kind of minding his own business. Gus says, I didn't like that.
Yeah, it didn't really help Acosta out too much either, though, so I'm not convinced that that was on purpose, just a mistake for sure. Jordan McEvoy, Drew Eisenman, there's 6th place at 77's all over the back of the 21.
A little bit of a flash there. Here comes the 77 Eisenman trying to get a run down the front straightaway to potentially make a pass in turn 1.
He's going to have a look into the braking zone, into the first corner. And the 21's going to leave him space, but then tucks it down to the apex, and Eisenman unable to get the car slowed. Here comes Krasinski.
Trying to have a look on the exit, but just not enough. Spun his tires a little bit too much.
Climbing the hill now for the 5th time. Up at the front, I don't think we've seen all of Matt Grunberg. He closes big time in the braking zone for the inner loop. It's a half a second gap, now 7/10.
Yeah, and Grunberg has set the fastest lap of the race, so faster than James Miller. Even ran faster last lap through.
There's Matt Hackathorn in the 84. Is dropped 1 spot. Sam Close, and these two have essentially just traded positions.
You can see them trade back spots as Hackathorn's trying to work back on Close. 3/10, so 2/10 up last lap.
That is a very dangerous place to drop a wheel. Meanwhile, behind Jess Story and Kevin Finn. Actually, Story going around the 14.
And not having a terribly great day. Is back in 11th.
And he's a little wide at the exit at turn 7. He'll drop a wheel off and grab some grass. There's McEvoy again. Eisenman on the brakes. And Eisenman's really talented at the road courses. He's actually a current participant in the Grand Sport class in Rodenzo Sports Car Challenge, and he's been successful there. But so far tonight, only in 7th place. He's got Krasinski trying to hunt him down.
Yeah, Eisenman's been pretty good in touring cars and just GT machinery in general. So I think this is not quite up his alley. He's doing all right, but he's trying to break away from the 97.
And you see right in the background, that is Jess Story in the number 7. Closing in on Nathan Velez, and Story last time was almost 8/10 quicker than the 48. So we're going to see a pass here, and Story move himself even farther inside the top 10 as the sun comes out from behind the clouds here at Watkins Glen.
And you see Story trying to get a better run out of the corner than Velez, but Velez is going to beat him to it.
I always wish that, again, I'm showing the club on the graphics here. I always wish that North and South Carolina had separate clubs.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of just saying Carolina.
It should say Carolinas.
Carolinas.
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like it does, doesn't it? I wonder if the data binding's wrong.
I would hope so.
How about for 6th? Here comes Krasinski. That's actually for 7th, but McEvoy is P6 right in front of this group. A little bit wide on the rumble strip, and that's a little bit rougher than it looks. You go out wide there. I don't really think that's a huge advantage in a car like this. Maybe in a Miata, but in a big car like this, I think you're better off keeping it on course.
I think used enough green paint for the inside of that.
It's like a monster truck. Not back straight. It's not a bit of a lockup maybe into the inner loop, but here comes Eisenman up the inside on the brakes. Ooh, real tight.
Whoa.
And he's actually in the dirt. Go overcharge it. Here comes Brzezinski to the outside.
Yeah, because he's trying to force the issue on the outside into the carousel.
Holy
here.
touch.
Oh, interesting to see. We could try to loop back, maybe do an over-under here on exit.
Here he comes, and a big run to the outside. Eisenman going to stay to driver's left.
Couldn't miss the shift into third. That kind of cost him some speed.
Eisenman leaves a half a car width out there. That's just so inviting. Brzezinski has to lift big time. I think he's definitely being held up by the 77. Now throttling back up for the front straight, waiting to commit. He's going to have to try this all over again. There's Jess Story in the background, right to the back of Nathan Velez, as we got 2 passes in progress right now.
Not quite enough for Story to get alongside. We're going to get a nice run through the middle of one, but still can't get alongside or potentially to make a pass on Nathan Velez.
Matt Grunberg.
Oh.
He's had trouble out of second place, and he's actually been here for not an insignificant amount of time.
Yeah, he's been here for a minute.
Oh, this is what I saw on the inner loop a moment ago.
Oh. Oh yeah, you're talking about something.
He blew the motor on the downshift. And,
wow, that's a very uncharacteristic mistake from the 54.
Yeah, this is again. You see already he's revving it out and just downshifts a bit too early and just blows the motor. And these cars don't quite have the tolerance that the Cup cars do for shifting. So Matt Grunberg out early, and James Miller's lead extends to 5.5 seconds over Sam Close.
That's a little bit disappointing because I think Miller's going to essentially run away with this race. Meanwhile, still looking at that great battle. Earlier we were looking at for 5th position.
Jess Story is hunting that 48-minute grandson entry to the corner.
Was snaking down the straightaway trying to get Story out of the draft.
All tense action from 5th on back. McKeevoy, Eisenman, Krasneski, Velez, and Story. And here comes Krasneski, pops out of line, and you see Jess Story again. Ooh, and even Eisenman took a look.
Yeah, Eisenman overran the corner a little bit. McKeevoy's just able to stay off of now. Ooh, Eisenman off into the
runoff area. There's the word you're looking for as they climb the hill. We're going to play complete sentences with each other now, I guess. And they climb through the...
I know I did it earlier with the...
And they climb through the...
bus stop.
No. This isn't fun when you do that. Now they head into the...
Carousel.
I hate you. McKeevoy hangs on to 5th for now. He's still having some internet connectivity problems.
Yeah, hopefully
today.
he stays well because he's set for a really solid finish in 5th.
Jess Story's on board here. The ride with him as he tries to throttle up. Carrying a whole bunch of speed.
Hitting about a little over 155 before they get back on the brakes.
There's Nathan Velez, who started this race in 8th place and has gone effectively nowhere. We talked about this in the ORL race at Mid-Ohio last night, that you complete a race like this and you're worn out, you're sweating, you're tired, and you feel like you've done nothing, and that's a frustrating day, but Velez still has plenty of time. We're only about 7 minutes into this race.
Yeah, and he has also a bunch of guys directly up ahead of him. You've got 7th, 6th, and 5th right up the road.
We're 12 minutes into this race, sorry. 45 minutes, not 40. Brett Miller, Corey Lindsay, this is side-by-side for 13th place.
The brakes, Lindsay's going to defend that spot.
And for 2nd.
Yeah.
Hackathorn through.
Would be for 3rd, but Gruber with his mistake blowing the engine. It's made this battle for 2nd place pretty much best of the rest here, because Miller's checked out 7.5 seconds. There you see him entering the next turn.
No challenge, and we've seen this a lot lately, both last night in Ohio and even tonight in the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Elite Series at Long Beach. Just drivers that are just far and away much, much better than everybody else. And there's Velez and Jess Story again. These two have not separated since the drop of the green flag. Story's starting to back it down a little bit, though. Seems to be a bit more conservative. Maybe saving some tire. That's a consideration.
Yeah, I'm surprised. It doesn't look like these guys are really, spinning the tires on exit. So I'm kind of surprised that he's being so conservative on it.
Here comes Krasneski up the inside of Jordan McKeevoy in 5th and pass for position. This will be for P5. They run door to door at the exit of turn 1. They got to get this sorted out quick.
Yeah, it looks like McKeevoy's going to win the battle. Oh, he's going to force himself to win the battle.
Krzyzewski cut him a break because he had overlap there. And if you're going by traditional stock car rules and got the nose in here, you got to get left space.
Granted, if he did that with 30 minutes from now, I think it would be a much different story.
For sure. Definitely, Krzyzewski did the right thing there and backed out. That brought Eisenman right back into the group, though.
It says that Krzyzewski, poor line to the bus stop.
It's hard to straight line that and catch the curbs just right. The one thing about this track, since it got rescanned and everyone's going to roll their eyes because they talk about the curbing so much, is the new curbing is so much more uniform. The old stuff is so worn out, sunken in, and it takes you on weird hops when you jump over it. And there's a very specific line. The middle of the curb is actually higher than the inside, so you actually have to get your center of your car over the middle of the curb to hook that just right. No longer is that the case anymore.
You know how, at some point when people get like really famous and whatnot, they write a book. I think if you ever go into commentary and you become like famous, like a famous commentator, and you write a book, you should just title it Curbs.
Do you know why Tom was my best friend?
Just do like an 800-page novel on Curbs.
Do you know why Tom was my best friend?
Why is that?
Because when I talked to him at the hauler, in the LA Honda World Hauler at Watkins Glen, we had like a 15-minute long conversation about how to drive through the bus stop. And that, from the other day on, I knew he was the one, okay? Because to be able to talk to someone like that and for them to understand they didn't get it, most people are like, that's dumb, who cares? But he cared, and that meant something.
I would care, but I've heard you talk way too much about it.
Hey, you know what? It's important to me, all right? Some people, it's romance. And for me, it's curbs.
Speaking of curbs, this story took a lot of curbing trying to get to the inside of Velez. You're just going to have to look up the inside on the carousel, but not quite enough. You can see these guys getting really tight in the middle of it, too, because they're all trying to get into the gas, but you really have to wait a lot longer than you think to get back on the throttle.
One of the biggest movers in this race, up 7 spots is this story. From 16th, started second to last, as you want to mention. Stole it from you, sorry.
That's fine.
Better be fine or you're fired. Down into turn 7, Eisenman a little bit off the apex. Velez going to close.
I forgot to put that camera there.
What's that?
I forgot to put this camera
there. Oh, you did. Would you like to move?
No.
Okay. See how squirrely the car got on track out there as he got up over the edge of the curbs and hit the bumps. And these three have lost touch with Krzyzewski, who is...
He's checked out, and this is really showing, we were concerned earlier about the damage he got to the right side, it was looking like he was slowing down, but he's picked the pace back up, he's found his rhythm again, and now trying to challenge McKeeway for that top 5 spot.
He's getting there.
Actually, they're both catching Jeffrey Fisher. Fisher ran a 113.4 last time by, to McKeeway's 112.7, so they're picking up the pace by quite a bit to catch the 06 and still looking at these guys duke it out.
Jess Story dragging the right side tires off in the dirt. Trying to get an advantage there to try to late apex the carousel and into turn 6. He'll ride in behind Nathan Velez. What's the aero situation like? I imagine these cars maybe don't have a huge aero wash.
Yeah, I don't know, because that's a decently sized spoiler, but the rest of the car really isn't that air dependent. I don't know, it's kind of weird. I haven't really gotten enough.
It doesn't seem like they're affected by it, but...
Yeah, maybe a bit, I think once you get right up in behind someone, but I think you have to get really close. Nowhere near as bad as I think as the cup package we had last year.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal to watch. McKeevoy up the hill, Krzyzewski right behind. Let's head back up to second place. It's Matt Hackathorn in the 84 and Sam Close in the 5. Again, just taking a look, I'm just astonished at how much brake temp these cars are retaining, even after they've had a chance to cool down. This is on board with Sam Close. And just watch how long it takes for these things to cool off. Still on the straightaways, there's still color in them. Still there, still there, still there. Now they've just started to cool. And in 3, 2, 1, back on the brakes. And they don't even get a chance to rest at all on the front straightaway here. Let's ride on board still.
It's still going to get hot again. It's going to be a fairly short run down at turn 1.
There's 4 tires up on the curbing on track out there.
Just about to get cool enough, and back on the brakes.
Deeper in the field, here is McKeevoy and Krzyzewski again climbing forward in a big bunny hop over the big bump at the start-finish line, out to driver's right, and into turn 1, he's got position. And
wow, those things so high, you can see them from
they touch at corner exit. And they're going to drag race to turn 2, and that time McKeevoy's going to lift and tuck back in line.
Imagine if you had to run an endurance race with these things. You have to change the brakes every pit stop.
Oh my goodness. Well, they're designed to glow light. I mean, again, the brakes are very, very strong, but not the kind of strong that they need to be for this event. Again, they're made for lots and lots of repetitions for very short intervals. So the reason why they get so hot is because brakes work well when they're in the optimal temperature range. You have to get them hot, right? The problem is that they're made for, you know, a second or two of brake application, not 4, 5, 6 second braking zones like we're seeing here at Watkins Glen. So again, they're in their optimal temperature range for a couple seconds and then they're overheating. So I'm sure the tires will be pretty worn out and hot and bothered by the end of this thing.
It's pretty crazy to see because you never really see the brakes carry so much temperature down the straightaway in other cars.
No, I mean, even the stock cars, again, in NASCAR, they run much bigger brake packages for the road courses to prevent that from being a problem. Again, you use the brakes a little bit on the ovals, but it's for short duration.
Because typically, like right around here is where you see, whoa, as you see Story take a wild ride through the grass, and here comes Les back on to pass him again. But typically you'll see by now the brakes would be entirely cool. Meanwhile, still on these things, you still see they're glowing pretty hard.
I don't think I've ever seen brakes glowing through the S's at Watkins Glen. At least not after they removed that chicane for Formula One back in the 80s. So Nathan Velez trying to get this spot back on the 7 car. On the sector time, Story was a little slow through the sector because of the issue in turn 1. A little bit of separation now, and of course, as soon as I say that, we're going to have some intense battling here.
Oh, yeah, I think you might hear Acthorn got a fairly poor exit out of the final turn in comparison to close.
It's got some damage on that right front. Now 7 may get 6/10 back from Matt Hackathorn. I think it's time for a little SimTV sound surge. Let's crank it up. Let's hear these things rip. For second place, Hackathorn getting a piece of the wall at the top of the S's, and then Sam Close kind of missing the inner loop there, and he's going to drop back about 2 seconds behind second place, Matt Hackathorn.
Yeah, he's got to work hard again to get back up to the 84, though we're approaching pit stops, I would imagine, sometime soon, or just shy of halfway.
And James Miller out up front, the only thing that could really mess him up is a poor pit stop of some kind, but even then, 11-second advantage is pretty large.
Yeah, he's just got to make sure he makes it to the end of the race. He's got such a good pace going. Yeah, as long as he doesn't make a mistake down pit road, just back it down a little bit more than you need to, just to ensure you don't get a pit road speeding penalty, because that's the only thing that's going to cost you this race at this point. I'm actually curious, how close is he to getting lap traffic?
We got trouble. Drew Eisen. That's off. He wasn't going for pit lane. He just made a mistake. And
no, he was going.
Did he just pull off the track?
I guess he did. It didn't look like he spun. He just like went to the inside of. Everything's normal.
Almost like an emergency came up or something, because he pulled off pretty quick. just dove off to the pit stall to get out of the way. So not sure what happened there for Drew Eisenman, but had to call it quits. Jump back up to the lead. You were mentioning pit stops. What else were you talking about before I got interrupted you? I don't remember what was the conversation.
No, I think just talking about making sure you don't make a mistake on the pit stops.
Costa's had a problem. This is turn 6 and 7. Okay. Not sure what that was all about.
I think he was trying to. I think he was trying to enter pit lane. I just missed it.
A lot of opportunity to get there. I'm surprised he didn't. But back up to 6. That's Jordan McEvoy, and Jess Story continues to climb the order. And here goes McEvoy to pit lane.
Yeah, pretty much right at halfway. A lot of guys are going to start coming down to the pits. Might as well.
So pit stops here are a little longer than the NASCAR stops here. So I mean, I imagine you want to take tires.
We'll see. I don't know. We could see someone try to gamble here because it does take quite a while to take the tires. I'm not sure though what the fuel. I think the fuel also fills up pretty slow, so you might want to just take everything. We'll see here.
Left side's up on the 21.
Yeah. Now, the road course, if you're going to take lefts, you're going to take rights unless you're a madman.
And up goes the right side.
You're always the only one we've seen hit pit lane. Everyone else is still running out on the track. You can see a lot of guys coming through the front straight right now.
We're actually past halfway at this point.
He's actually waiting on fuel too, so that just kind of gives you an idea how slow it takes to fill up on gas. And now he's finally away.
He will actually go a lap down. There is the leader, James Miller, who's just gone through.
I'm actually curious how long the stop is. 27 seconds, man.
I heard a car in the dirt. Whoa, that's the 89 of Brett Miller. That's the leader through the middle of this traffic.
I just remember what I was talking about earlier. I was saying how close lap traffic, or at least how close he was to getting there. You just caught Brett Miller and Acosta. So guys a lap down. He's going to set his sights now on there's Corey Lindsay up the road.
Sam Close and Justin Krasinski are in pit lane. So they made their first stop of the night. Matt Hackathorn is second place, a long ways back from Miller here, Finian, but keep your head in the game because anything can happen, especially with lap traffic.
Yeah, again, he is fighting Sam Close and Close into the pits along with Krasinski, so both those guys getting service to their cars.
Big slide for Hackathorn that time through. Nice line for the carousel. We'll throttle back up. We'll right on board. Expecting to see some more drivers hit pit lane this time through. Miller stays out another lap, and you'd think Hackathorn would try to maybe short pit, get some fresh tire advantage, and here he comes.
The road he will go. Still waiting on Miller to come down, although at this point Miller can really pit whatever he wants and not really have to worry about it.
Well, Jess Story, what's the strategy for him? He's been climbing up the order like a madman. He's been one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, and last time by ran a pace pretty much equal with the leader. So are you going to pit with the leader before or after? What's the plan here?
Well, we actually ran a significantly slower lap next time by over 14.5. So he's kind of starting to fall off the pace here. I mean, it really just depends on how well you've been taking care of the tires. If you've been abusing them, you definitely want to come in a little bit earlier. If you've been taking care of it, you can run out a little bit longer than have fresher tires in the second run.
Mustang looks good. That's Richard Hines in the number 87. Started this race in 17th, which is dead last up to 6th. Still has to make a pit stop, though. And really no chance of a caution at all, so it's going to just come down to full green flag running. Miller still out front, going to stay out yet another lap here with 18 minutes to go. We'll see if Jeffrey Fisher, wow, long way back, 23 seconds back, Fisher.
That's good. Carlos will still beautiful. Back man.
Certainly does. And he and James Miller both running basically inverted colors. I also kind of find it interesting that where the donut is placed on the side of the car is exactly where you'd get one if you're rubbing fenders with somebody. And looks like he will stay on another lap. So Miller and Fisher are going to continue to roll on the same strategy. And I imagine if Matt Grunberg is out here, the same thing would apply to him as well. This is your leader just past Corey Lindsay to put him a lap down.
I actually see the tire works too, where guys have been coming on through.
Yeah, they've been cutting the inner loop again, and that's they redid the curbing back there. They made it about 4 feet wider at the apex of the curb. So when they finally get the rescan here, hopefully at the end of this year, beginning of next, we should see that be much less of a problem, less grass torn up, less debris on the racetrack. 17 and a half minutes to go. A little bit wide line for the 09. Maybe dealing with some tire dead, but only about a second off of his best lap. So I really haven't seen a whole lot of tire burnout yet. They've been running for 23 laps. This is pretty long for a super late model.
Yeah, and the only guys that have come down to pit road is Hackathorn, Close, Krasneski, and McKeevoy. Everyone else stayed out on the track and yet to make their final stop of the race. So, you know what? This is what we could be seeing. We could be seeing guys that are going to come on down, splash the gas off and away.
I don't hate that strategy at all.
Especially, it would matter more here because, you know, typically in more modern cars, you know, the fuel fill-up is extremely fast. I say modern cars, in higher performing cars, I guess is the better word. The fuel fill-up is pretty fast. You got a lot of fuel in there in a short amount of time. So, you know, any fuel that you see you putting in, it's not going to buy you a whole lot of time. And these things, we saw how slow the fuel is to the point where it takes longer. You're waiting on fuel even after you take tires with this thing. So if you take less fuel, you can save quite a bit of time that you would be spending on pit road.
So there's discussion about scanning the Freedom Factory. I know I've showed you that project of Cletus McFarland purchasing what used to be, I'm trying to remember the name of the speedway, DeSoto Speedway in Florida. And basically purchased it for about $2.5 million and is renovating the property and turning it into basically a burnout playground. But I just did a big, massive concrete pad, about 4,000 square feet worth of concrete poured there. So pretty cool to see that track coming back to life, and I really hope we get it scanned because of that big concrete pad. How epic would that be for team screenshots?
Yeah, it would be really awesome. And honestly, that dude's just a mad life. Just a YouTuber buying on a racetrack.
Well, the thing is I had seen his YouTube channel before, and I was always, it was always kind of interesting, but I hadn't subscribed. But he's just got an entire other group of fans because he's doing something that is almost universal. Nobody's upset, other than Karens that live in apartment complexes. Nobody's upset about renovating a racetrack. So it's really cool to bring in the race fans as well and have that track come back to life.
Yeah, Velez is gonna be coming in this kind of second wave of pit stops. We saw 4 guys coming around halfway, and I've seen guys come in with less time in the race. So I'm curious to see what this 48 of Velez is gonna do. If he's just gonna fill up on gas and be on his way here.
See what the strategy is for the 48.
Yeah, and you see Jackson going up, so he's just filling up on fuel.
See what the pit stop length is going to be. It's still going to be pretty significant, I think. I'm more curious about the leaders.
Yeah, it is going to be significant, but I'm curious on how it's going to be for the guys around him.
So tires is 21 seconds. No, but let's not there for longer. 24 seconds. That's an interesting stop. Miller and Fisher, they've just gone through for another lap around Watkins Glen, and they're up to, that's Fisher coming around turn number 7. And they're just trying to lock everybody out of being able to beat them with tires. Here's Jess Story, 39 seconds back from the leader. Story off the track last time, didn't record a lap, but
kind of slow.
Yeah, he's working really slow. There's Kevin Finn peeling off the background from 4th place to come in for his stop. At 1:14.7, 2 seconds off.
Yeah, so really of the leaders that came in is really Hackathorn and Close, because they were running up for 2nd place when they came in.
Less than 15 minutes to go, and your leader, James Miller, has been out front for most of the night. He's been on track for 26 laps, and I have to imagine that tank is almost out. He'll stay out another lap.
Looking at the don'ts on pit road that some of these guys have spent, been around, and there's been quite a bit of variability. And you see actually, Hackathorn, so he only took fuel, and I would imagine, because his stop was only 12 seconds.
Yeah. And he did leapfrog Sam Close and put about a 10-second gap, but Close is closing, for lack of a better word, at that point.
Yeah, but I don't think Close is going to make up 10 seconds, unless Hackathorn makes a big mistake. And again, if you're going to run with the same set of tires at the end of the race, you have to start taking care of them pretty early on.
He'll get there if he catches them a little bit more than about 8 tenths a lap. He just was 7 tenths quicker than Hackathorn last time by. I'm not convinced that no tires is the call. Let's see.
We'll see. Again, Close's tires are only going to get worse over the course of the run. It seems like they're going to approach kind of a point and then kind of stabilize.
Yeah, I think that's really the question is, will those tires burn off before he can use the full advantage of them? Last time by Matt Hackathorn, his lap time was recorded as a 1:13.6. For Sam Close, a 1:12.4. So another 8-tenth gain for Sam Close, and he's now within 9 seconds of 5th place. closest battle on the racetrack right now is Richard Hines, who still has yet to pit, and Matt Hackathorn in the 5th place position, who has come down to pit lane.
Oh, you're really close to the left side. They're almost catching the grass on entry. It's the last thing you want to do. Poor line to bus stop for Richard Hines.
And not going to have the tire to pull the car down to the apex. Meanwhile, deeper in the field, there's Nathan Velez and Corey Lindsay. Velez goes through to 10th.
Lindsay's been kind of struggling tonight.
So Miller and Fisher, they're within 10 laps of making it to the end. They're obviously not going to be able to. But they've pretty much put a stranglehold on the field at this point.
Yeah, they just need really a splash of gas.
And yeah, they're not going to take tires. They're just going to take a splash of gas. They're going to probably come out first and second, I'd imagine, with how they're running. Now, the wild card is Matt Hackathorn, where he will slot in the line.
Looking at the gap, Fisher is definitely going to drop in behind Hackathorn, because looking, if they go based off of Hackathorn's time, it's 36 seconds down on pit lane, so that would put him about, let's see, he's 18 now, so Fisher would be 18 seconds in behind Hackathorn.
Hackathorn didn't take tires either, though, so there will be no advantage for either of those two drivers other than time on Hackathorn's side. And he was second before the pit stop sequence began, so it makes sense that he'd be second after it. 11 minutes to go here from Watkins Glen. And James Miller continues to just dominate this race, and without Matt Grunberg there to keep him honest, he's just had an easy day up there.
Yeah, he can just manage to do whatever he wants, manage his tires, just take it easy, just lead the race. He's reading like half a minute, 30 seconds.
That's basically half a lap. Actually, we can get a good look at this. If we look down, actually, it would probably do this way. So this is James Miller exiting the inner loop right now. Where's Jeffrey Fisher?
Start finish.
Down in turn one. That's literally about a half a lap around here. Literally half a lap. Pretty wild. Ten minutes to go. It'll be about 9 laps worth of racing. And Miller still needs to make a stop. The question is, when will he do it, and what will he do with the stop? Out again. There is the 21 and Jordan McKeeboy back in 8th place. One of the drivers that I believe did take tires on his stop, a 27.5-second pit stop.
Speaking of taking tires, Close trying to get back to... Ooh, he actually, I think, made a mistake.
I see some damage on that car, and I don't think it was...
He's had damage for quite a while, but his last lap was a 115.
Where that might have been. Oh, we found it in the inner loop. Here's a look. It's got in there too hot and understeered off the course, and that's a very common thing to do here.
That cost him a lot of time. We're making some good progress back on the Axon. Is going to have to start all over again. And now in this race, I don't think he's going to be able to catch back up.
Just Story and Matt Hackathorn trading positions for 3rd place. Story still has yet to come into the box, though, so we'll drop back behind Hackathorn when it's all said and done.
So I'm curious how much 84 is going to contest this, because you know Sam Close is in behind. And he just made a mistake if he's watching his relative, so he knows the 7's got to come back in, so essentially there's not much of a point in fighting for the spot, unless the 7's slowing him down significantly.
Minutes to go, or 8 minutes and 45 seconds left in this event. No significant fights on the racetrack at this time. All going to come down to the strategy played by Miller and Fisher. Will run on board with the tailpipes of Hackathorn, actually Just Story rather, as Hackathorn's in behind. Bit of a mistake for Story through the bus stop.
Back down trying to get a line on Story. Just kind of riding in behind him, it seems, at the moment. Yeah, no other real close battles on the racetrack.
Brent Miller into pit lane for a stop for the number 89. Haven't really talked about Brent a whole lot today, but started 15th, hasn't really seen a lot of success.
Yeah, it's been pretty uneventful. There's Corey Lindsay up ahead. He's also coming for a stop.
Same kind of story for the 00 tonight.
Speaking of Story.
Back in 3rd. Again, this is kind of playing the same strategy as the leaders, but we'll have to give up the spot eventually to come down pit lane, and it will have to be relatively soon. But wide in turn 2 there, fitting out the best line through the S's.
Hackathorn with a better one. Don't know he's going to have enough of a run on Story to maybe make a move in the bus stop here. Gotten pretty close.
And maybe forcing Story into a mistake, but Story's been pretty calm, cool, and collected through this inner loop most of the night. We've seen a couple drivers make mistakes, but not Story. Drifts out wide of the carousel, and here comes Hackathorn to the inside for third.
I think was actually letting him on by.
Might be, but here he goes.
Again, between both of them is really not much of a point in fighting for that spot. Just going to cost them up more time.
Leader pit
Miller
road.
finally in pit road, and as quickly as he came out, he's going to get back out. I'm curious to see what his stop time was.
His stop was 11.8 seconds, so he's just going to expand that lead by a lot. And Jeffrey Fisher is going to drop back through the field, but that'll give Matt Hackathorn second place, and he's pretty solidly here. The only car that could really catch him would be Sam Close, but he's a long ways back. Closing the final minutes of the Yunzer Graphics Super Late Model Tour here from Watkins Glen. It's been relatively incident-free other than a small crash at the exit of Turn 1 between Carlos Acosta and Race Clark.
Yeah, the only other major incident really to talk about was with Matt Grimberg.
Yeah, blowing the engine on the downshift into the inner loop. So James Miller continues to lead this race, has just been absolutely dominating tonight. No chance anyone takes this from him unless Miller takes it from himself. Here is Kevin Finn. He's got Nathan Velez tucked in behind. This is a fight for 8th, and this is for position. They are on the same strategy.
Ooh, was not a good exit out of turn 1. Spun the tires out to save it. That's going to cost him a run here.
Onto the back straight now, and speed's climbing well over 150 miles an hour, and you gotta sling yourself through this bus stop, and that's where drivers will kind of make or break a lap around here. And really, one of the reasons I like this corner, this complex so much, Finian, is because when you remove it, it removes one of the most challenging parts of this racetrack, and it's tedious. It's not necessarily fun, but it really separates the men from the boys when you come to that corner, and it's so precise that you will lose time unless you're perfect at it, and that's why it's such an entertaining corner to watch.
Boys trying to catch back up to Kevin Finn. I think that pass, it's a battle for 8th position between these drivers.
I really want to know if we counted how many times we or other broadcasters use the word battle. Because it's like the default go-to word.
Oh, yeah.
And I guarantee you we've probably said it a couple 100,000 times by this point.
Yeah, probably. I mean, because what else would you call it?
I use the word dogfight. Fight, challenge.
But typically you always say battle for X position.
Right. Because that's the default go-to.
Conflict for 4th.
I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying conflict. I feel like I have used that at least once. Scrap for 6th. And we have a scrap for 3rd, because here comes Sam Close on the inside of Jeff Story.
Story is not coming to the pits. I think he's trying, at this point, I think he's trying to run out, or at least make it to the end here.
Within 4 laps, so it's not crazy.
You have to save a lot. I mean, a lot of the other guys, they came in earlier than they needed to, apparently.
Side by side to the yeses, not easy to do this. They're going to give it a try, though, and Close is going to back off and try this again.
Probably am curious if Story can make it to the end on fuel. That'd be interesting to see.
38 laps is a really long time at Watkins Glen. I don't see how that's possible, but he's gotten this far.
I forgot where he came in. He was fighting with,
What are you talking about?
Story. Who was he fighting with before we had the stops?
McEvoy? Velez?
Okay, so he was around 7 to 8 tonight.
Here comes Sam Close, looking out to drivers left, unable to do anything with it. Story's a little wide, nursing those old hot tires. And he's actually going to let... Oh, is he out of fuel, maybe? He's going to just let... out of fuel. 3 minutes.
No, I was
sorry. To say something.
Yeah, I was listening to Story's car. I'm curious if he is out of gas.
He is out of fuel. Yeah. I was confident when I saw him slow in turn 7. So Story will have to come in to serve, get that car serviced.
I don't know if he made it to a stall. Oh, he did. Okay. It looked like he stopped earlier.
He only had to take a little bit of fuel though, and here comes Jordan McKeevoy. So he's gonna be right back in the fight that he was before. Well, maybe a little bit behind. All things considered, not a didn't hurt his back.
How much fuel he took, or how long his stop was, I guess.
His stop was only 7.5 seconds.
Wow.
Seems like that was almost a lot of fuel for 3 minutes, but better to be safe than to run out of fuel like Dave Fitzgerald. Sam Close in the 5 car, Justin Krasniewski in the 97. This is for position now.
Krasniewski has done a great job to battle back. We saw him fighting earlier with some other guys like McKeeboy.
Been a good night in general.
Yeah, he's worked his way up all the way to Close, and Close is fighting with Hackathorn not too long ago, earlier in the race, for second place.
If that was the lead, this would have been 2 laps to go, but we still have 2.5 as James Miller is working his way through the inner loop, 21 seconds ahead of Hackathorn. We're going to jump back to that scrap for third because Sam Close and Krasniewski are the closest group on the racetrack. He's been cutting it so close to that wall.
Yeah, I'm surprised he has been, especially considering he got that damage from hitting that wall.
Jess Story slow on the racetrack, and that is back down pit lane.
I wonder if he didn't take enough gas.
Maybe he didn't.
Because you're looking at that, because I imagine, everyone's had to take the same amount of fuel, so, the guys who are in their blocks for 11, 12 seconds, so.
That is brutal. All the time that he gained is going to go away, and all the positions that he gained.
He's taking tires?
I don't know. It's literally white flag lap for James Miller, so I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but. That last lap for Miller, and it was actually close to being 2 to go, so he did only get 1.
I mean, he's got a 21-second lead, unless he really wanted
He might
to
have
go
backed down a little bit. He actually ran a little slower than he had the previous 2 laps.
Might as well, right? Like, why go? why do the extra lap?
Because it's fun.
Yeah, I guess.
3rd place, Bosun Krasniewski. Oh, that sounds amazing. This car is just so pretty and so
really nice.
Sounds so good.
Final word back up to Close. That a really good line through the S.
Yeah, getting ready for a slingshot down into the bus stop. I'm not sure he'll get there in time, but for James Miller, a dominant performance as we've seen on the road courses quite a bit here on Sim TV. It seems like there's always somebody that goes out and absolutely dominates. Checkered flag and a wave for James Miller in the 09. He'll win at Watkins Glen. Back for 3rd, Close and Krasniewski. This is getting closer. Hackathorn is going to come through for 2nd, but 3rd still a toss-up right now.
Yeah, it really is. And seeing here something, if he does a desperate move down into 6, no, maybe in the final turn?
Too far. Oh, Close is a little wide. Here comes the 97 to the rear bumper. Final corner for Close.
They're going to see aggressive go around.
Oh, here we go. Run to the checkers.
Oh.
The block to the line. Close gets it by a nose.
That was actually pretty. That was a lot closer than I thought it would be. Whoa, hang on.
And here's a little bit of a fight. Finn, Velez, and Hines for position.
This can get ugly pretty quickly depending on how this sorts itself out. Let's try to get a run down the straightaway. The car just really understeering out of the corner.
Not really sure who's got to be watching their mirrors here, but Kevin Finn is hanging on to 7.
Definitely Kevin Finn. He's got 2 guys in mind.
And all about turn 6 is such a hard corner to nail. He's close, Finn's a little wide.
Grass, yeah.
They're trying to set up the exit, understeer big time, though Finn couldn't get it down. Finn, 7th, Velez, 8th, Richard Hines in 9th, Hagelin a lap down in 10th. Checkered flag here at Watkins Glen. It's James Miller rolling back around very slowly. And he's going to enjoy a race win, and that was certainly deserved and earned.
Also look at the car too.
Not a scratch on it. Okay, there's a little bit of rubber on it. There's a little crinkle in that left front. He's maybe gotten the curb too hard or touched the wall on the S somewhere.
Fisher's car looks better.
You know where this is probably from? Is the final corner. You don't really get that close to a wall except for turn number 7. So teammates together, 1st and 5th tonight. only deserves to win this race if he does the burnout in the runoff area. I will be disappointed. No, James, you've lost my respect. Oh, he's gonna hit the wall. This is why you do it in the runoff area. I'm sorry, but this is, you gotta do it down in turn one.
We'll see if he goes after and does it.
It still doesn't make up for it in my mind.
Oh, you gotta do it in front of the people.
There's more grandstands in turn one than there is on the front straight. Okay, that's cool.
There.
I'll give him credit for that, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a really good set.
Yeah, it was. Get down there, do it in the runoff.
Wow,
that is impressive. There we go. That's the proper way. There's more grandstands down. Well, not in the iRacing version, but in real life there is. Burn it down, James. You deserved it. That's where you need to burn.
Well, if he didn't start it up there, he couldn't do that cool 11.
Okay, fine. Run circles down there in the runoff area. Here's a look at your race results tonight. Miller, Hackathorn, Close, Krasinski, Fisher, your top 5. Then Jordan McKeevoy, Finn, Velez, Hines, and Hagel in the rest of your top 10. Only 9 drivers on the lead lap, Finian. Certainly not the closest race that we've ever seen, but some good battles throughout the field and a unique car on a unique track. Fun combination here tonight at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, indeed. Interesting to see the strategy play itself out as well.
We'll be back in just a moment to talk to your drivers that finished well. We're actually going to talk to Justin Krasinski if we can as well. We don't think we've ever really talked to him.
That was cool.
Yeah. Okay, he's earned my respect back. I think he heard me and realized I was disappointed. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back live to Sim TV. We're here now with our 4th place finisher, Justin Krasinski, the number 97. Justin, tonight was a really hard-fought event. You started this race back in 5th position. You gained a spot overall tonight, put some really intense battles with some drivers up inside the top 5. Walk us through your night in the 38 laps at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, it was a tough night. The tire wear was kind of weird. You know, it's not very often you race super late models on the road course, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Had some good battles with some people. I just lost too much time in track position at the beginning. Otherwise, I think we would have had Sam with a couple more laps there.
Talking about the strategy a little bit, I mean, obviously, you know, some drivers try to stretch the fuel longer than others. Did you feel like tires were a consideration? I mean, how much wear and tire heat were you generating running this track with the super lates?
Yeah, I clobbered the wall a couple times at the S's, so I put tires on. I put 4 tires on. I think Hackathorn got 2 tires, and some other people tried to stretch the fuel. I just figured we needed 4 gallons, and the time would be made up on the fresh tires. So I came and got 4. I don't even know if it was the right call, to be honest with you. I don't know what kind of time we would have lost getting 2, but I think 4 tires is definitely good because it allowed me to stay on the attack at the end and at least give myself a shot at it.
Justin, it was a really solid top 5 run for you tonight on Watkins Glen, so congratulations on a 4th place finish. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it.
Thanks. I'm going to talk quickly to Jess Story, who finished down in 14th position. Jess, things didn't quite go the way you wanted tonight, trying to stretch the field to the end. Had to come back down at the end of the race. Walk us through your night and your climb forward, because you were at one point one of the biggest movers tonight.
Yeah, it was a very frustrating night. I mean, yeah, we started in the back, but that was voluntarily my decision. But we were able to make our way up forward pretty well. And then I saw people pitting, and I was thinking to myself, can they actually not make it? And I tried to see if I can make it, and it didn't work out. And then, of course, as I was coming down pit road under green, of course, I went speeding on pit road, so that just had the snowball effect, and I couldn't recover from that at all. So I just decided to just stay in the pits.
I want to know saw this car race around here, because I'm a local to this racetrack, and this car is something that I would never expect to see out here. How fun was it, or was it fun at all, driving the Super Late around here?
Yeah, it was actually pretty fun. I mean, it's not the first time I've had to drive a super late model around a road course. I remember a couple of years ago we ran a super late model race at Sonoma. So these cars are actually pretty fun to drive. There's not a lot of power on them, so you can be more aggressive with them, and they're more lightweight than the NASCAR counterparts. But yeah, these cars are really fun to drive, and I enjoy driving them. And the setup tonight was really good, and it was just all around a good car. I had a top 5 car. Probably could have finished there, maybe if I didn't mess up on the pit strategy or anything. But you know, it is what it is. We'll move on and go to the next race.
Jess Story, 14th tonight in the number 7. Jess, thanks for talking.
All right, thanks.
Matt Hagethorn finished second place tonight in the number 84. Lots of strategy out there tonight, Matt, and a lot of pace for you as well, but no match for the 09 and James Miller. Walk us through your night.
Well, I mean, he got out there early with Matt. I had no early pace because I was trying to save a bit of tires for the end, which ended up kind of backfiring. But we were actually going pace for most of the race, and then I'd mess up for 2 laps, and I could see him get away more and more. And by the end of it, by the time I went in, he was about, 13, 15 seconds ahead. I'm like, please let him mess up his strategy and put too much fuel in it or something. But he ran a perfect race. I can't say anything bad about him. It was great. Like I said, I liked the way it handled the way the race went through.
I want to know a little bit about the brake temps, because we were actually monitoring a lot of the brake rotor heat. Did you notice the brakes kind of degrading over time? Because this is one of those situations, there is brake fade in iRacing that we've never really seen it in action, but on a car that's so unfit for this particular track, was that something you noticed, or just something you could chalk up to just tire wear?
I was noticing a bit. I was about 50 yards earlier at the end of the race than I was at the beginning. Like, I was using in the bus stop, I was doing right between about the 500, 450 was my brake mark. But at the end, I was at 550, 600 going in there. Because like I said, it was easy to get in there way too hot.
Matt, congratulations. It was a really solid podium run, a top 5 for you in that 84 car tonight. Thanks for talking to us, and we'll see you next week.
Right on. Glad to be the replacement Matt on the podium. And shout out to Corey Lindsay for the great league. Woo!
All right, P2 for Matt Hagethorn. We'll talk to you later. James Miller was the one that dominated the night, the Canadian in the Tim Hortons number 09 Supra, and no match was anybody else tonight for you. James got out front early, had Matt Gruenberg pacing you early on, but he blew the motor down in the bus stop. Walk us through your race and your strategy tonight.
Yeah, it would have been interesting there to see what Matt had for us, but yeah, unfortunately he blew his motor. I did the same in practice and instantly changed my my shift points so that wouldn't happen, and yeah, just try to hit my marks, do a clean race, managed to stay on the track, didn't get a 0x the whole race, which usually never happens for me on a road course. I usually like to cut the limit, but yeah, the car was great. Matt Hagethorn did a wonderful job on the setup. You know, it was a bit tight going up the S's, but a little lift and he made it through, and it was stable, and the tires didn't seem to matter anywhere. Just stayed out as long as I could, and took a little bit amount of fuel, and got her done. Just yeah, I don't know.
But out there and did it, James. Is all that mattered. And a nice burnout there at the end, by the way. The little drag burnout down to turn 1, and then looping it around in the runoff area. Cool beans there. That was cool to see. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, just shout out to Team AV and all the guys on the team for helping me out throughout the week, and it's really good to be back.
All right, James Miller, winner from Watkins Glen. James, thanks for talking.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for the interviews here tonight, Finian. Pretty solid race, lots of strategy involved in this one, but again, it was Miller just putting a whooping on the field tonight, just dominated the whole.
Yeah, 22 seconds over Matt Hagethorn, so a really solid job, and you see the results scroll across the screen yet again. And again, really a big story tonight for Matt Grunberg, finishing back in 16th.
Very diverse field there as well. Lots from all over the country, different time zones, even drivers from Canada there as well. Northwest, Carolinas, the Midwest, Mid-South, New England, California, Texas, the whole country covered in 17 Drivers Night. That's going to do it for us this evening here on Sim TV. Be back with us tomorrow for 2 events. Be the 3-Wide National Series from Milwaukee and the ERSCA Series from Talladega at 9:30. Thank you so much for watching. See you tomorrow.